I can tell you the exact second my marriage started to rot. It wasn't a discovery. No lipstick on a collar. No half-heard phone call in the night. It wasn't even something she said. It was a joke. A throwaway line. Barely a sentence, and I wasn't even the one who said it. We were at Sam and Iris's house, Friday night. 6 of us around the table, too many empty bottles already on the sideboard. Someone had made pasta. Someone else had made a joke about Sam's terrible Spotify playlist. Iris was laughing too loud. Lena was across from me, wearing the black dress she only brought out when she felt like being admired. I used to like that dress. Then Sam leaned back in his chair, swirling wine in his glass, and said, "Hey, remember that night you came out wearing his shirt, Lena?" There was a beat, Then everyone burst out laughing. Iris clapped her hands, Nina covered her mouth, gasping, "Oh my God, I totally forgot about that." Even Lena gave this shaky half-laugh like she was trying to keep up, eyes darting around the table. I smiled too. Reflex. And then I looked at her. She wasn't laughing anymore. Her face had frozen mid-smile, her teeth still showing, but her eyes wrong. Wide. Tense. "What shirt?" I asked. It came out before I could think. Before I could stop myself. The room went quiet, just for a second. Just long enough, Sam blinked. "You know, that time at the cabin. Years ago. We were all drunk. Just a stupid night." Lena didn't look at me. She picked up her wine and sipped too quickly. A splash hit her collarbone. "God, that was forever ago," Nina said, trying to smooth it over. "It was like a dare or something." I nodded. Smiled again, Didn't say another word for the rest of the night. Later, in the car, I asked her again, "What shirt?" She turned her face to the window. I don't know what Sam was talking about. And that should have been the end of it. But it wasn't. It's been 4 weeks. 4 weeks of pretending I don't feel her flinch when I brush her arm. 4 weeks of watching her lock her phone screen a little too fast. 4 weeks of waking up at 3:17 a.m. and staring at the ceiling wondering what she was doing at that cabin. Whose shirt it was. Because it sure as hell wasn't mine. It's stupid, right? A joke. A nothing moment. But I can't let it go. You start noticing things, The way she says, "I'm going for a walk," like it's a new thing, The way she laughs with her whole face when it's someone else's joke, but not mine, The way she flinched when I brought up Sam 2 nights ago. Her spoon clinked too hard in the sink, and she said, "God, can we not talk about them right now?" She's pulling away. Not obviously. It's in the gaps. The silences. The places where love used to live. I thought we were fine. Honestly. We argued, sure. Every couple does. But we'd made it through worse. I thought. Now I see it. I see her. As if I'd been looking at a photograph for years and only just realized it was out of focus. Here's the thing. Lena's never slipped. Not once. She's too composed. Too elegant. She never lets the mask fall. But that night, that one moment, she froze. And I think, maybe that wasn't the first time she wore his shirt. Maybe it wasn't the only thing she wore. There was another moment a few days later. I came home from work earlier than usual. She was on the patio, smoking. She doesn't smoke. Hasn't since college. Said it gave her headaches. But there she was, back turned to me, holding it between 2 fingers like she used to. She heard the door open and stubbed it out too fast. I asked, "When did you start again?" She said, "I was just stressed." Work. That word again. Work. She always uses it like a shield. Like it's big enough to hide behind. And now, I think she's hiding a lot more than cigarettes. I called Sam today. Asked him about that night at the cabin. He laughed. Tried to brush it off. "You really don't remember?" I said no, He said, "It was just a dare. Silly night. Nothing happened." I waited. I didn't say anything. He cleared his throat. "Ask Lena. She remembers." I hung up. She remembers. Of course she does. I looked through our old photo albums. The ones we stopped opening years ago. I was searching for something. I didn't know what. Proof, maybe. Something concrete to hold. But the cabin trip wasn't there. Not a single photo. Not one. I called Nina. She didn't pick up. Then Iris. Her voicemail cut in after 2 rings. None of them want to talk about it. So I'm left with a question. One stupid question. What shirt? And the thing about questions is, once they start, they don't stop. The first time she lied to me, I think it was about the cabin, not the shirt. That came later. But the cabin, that was the first blank space she drew around herself and dared me to ignore. It's strange how you can live next to a lie for years and never see its shape. The trip happened before we were married. Back when I still wore button-downs to impress her friends. Back when Sam and Iris were always inviting us to places with no cell service and communal wine. One weekend up north, all of us in a borrowed cabin with a broken heater and one too few bedrooms. Lena went, I remember that. But I didn't. That part took a few days to come back to me. I had a client deadline. She told me I was always working. She said she needed a break. So I told her to go. Stupidly. Blindly. Back then I believed every word that came out of her mouth. She said it was 3 nights. Just the usual crew. I remember asking, anyone new? And she said no, just Sam, Iris, Nina. But now, every time I think about that night, all I hear is Sam's voice, laughing. Remember that time you came out wearing his shirt, Lena? That has been eating me alive. Because if it wasn't Sam, and it wasn't me, who the hell was it? I've been careful since then. Quiet. I don't let her see me watching. She still moves through the house like she owns the silence. But I'm starting to learn her rhythms, the little hesitations in her voice when I ask about old friends, the way she suddenly needs to clean out drawers that haven't been touched in years. Yesterday, I found an old flash drive buried at the back of her desk. She said it was full of grad school files. But when I plugged it in, there were photos. Only 4. Blurry. Dim. Taken in low light. Probably on a phone. But one of them hit me so hard I felt like I'd been punched in the lungs. Lena, sitting on a kitchen counter, barefoot, in a long white shirt that didn't belong to her. Smiling. Hair loose. Holding a beer bottle in one hand like she wasn't aware someone was taking the photo. There was a man's arm in the frame. Just his forearm. Resting against her thigh like it belonged there. I stared at it for a long time. I know my own arms. It wasn't mine. I didn't confront her. Not yet. Instead, I copied the photos to my phone. Hid the drive exactly where I found it. Let her keep thinking I'm in the dark. It's strange how the mind works under suspicion. Every old memory becomes a crime scene. You start replaying moments, not for meaning, but for evidence. The way she used to come home glowing after those weekend trips. The inside jokes they never explained. The time Nina made a crack about Lena's secret admirer, and Lena laughed so hard she cried. I didn't ask questions back then. I do now. Last night, she was on the phone. Said it was her sister. But she didn't use her sister's name. Just, hey, you. I stood in the hallway, listening to her laugh. Soft and low. The kind of laugh you give someone you want to be close to. Then I heard her say, he doesn't suspect a thing. She hung up when she saw me walk in. Smiled like nothing happened. Asked if I wanted tea. I said yes. Because right now, I want her comfortable. I want her to feel safe. Because when people feel safe, they stop being careful. I went back to the flash drive last night. There were hidden folders. I almost missed them. Someone had renamed them with just a period. Inside one, a document called Cabin Notes. It was a packing list. But the final line chilled me. Make sure I bring his shirt. He'll notice if I don't wear it. I don't know who he is. But I'm starting to think he never left. There's a photo of us in the hallway. Taken 2 years ago. I'm holding her waist, grinning like an idiot. She's smiling too, but her body's angled away. I've looked at that photo 100 times and never seen it for what it is. I see it now. She was already gone, and I'm going to find out where she went. It started with a contact saved under J. Just the letter. No last name. No emoji. No context. I only saw it because she left her laptop open while she was in the shower, something she never does. Lena guards her devices like a priest with a confession. But that morning, she was rushed. Running late, half-dressed, her damp hair leaving small wet prints on the hardwood. I heard the water start. The door click. I sat down, heart slamming in my chest like it was trying to get out. The message thread wasn't long. She deleted most of it, I think. But one string was still there. A few lines. A digital breadcrumb, barely enough to follow. Jay, I dreamed about the cabin again. Lena, I told you, don't text me that. Jay, you looked good in it. Still think about that night. Lena, delete this. You promised. That was it. No dates. No timestamps. Just enough to confirm what I already knew. Whoever Jay was, he was the one dot. His shirt dot. His cabin. And Lena hadn't just worn it. She'd kept it. I opened her closet that night after she fell asleep. She's always been a light sleeper, so I moved slowly, careful not to let the hinges groan. At the back, behind winter coats and dresses she doesn't wear anymore, was a shirt I'd never seen. White. Thin cotton. The kind that stretches a little too easily across someone's shoulders. I brought it to my nose. It didn't smell like me. I sat on the edge of the bed and stared at her. She looked peaceful. A soft crease between her brows, like even in dreams she carried tension. Her hand twitched once, reflex, like she was reaching for something. Not me. That weekend, I drove out to the old cabin. I told her I had a conference. Some tech thing in a hotel with bad coffee and worse name tags. She didn't ask questions. Just kissed me on the cheek and said, "Don't forget your charger." The cabin was still there. Sam's family owns it, tucked into a thicket of pine and silence. I parked a few yards up the road and walked the rest of the way, boots crunching over frozen dirt. The house was locked, of course, but the back window wasn't. Inside, it smelled like rot and would smoke. A place full of old laughter and secrets. The kitchen counter had a scorch mark I remembered from a story, something about Iris forgetting a kettle. The couch cushions were flattened into the shape of people long gone. And in the corner, hanging from a rusty hook by the door, was a faded black and white Polaroid. 5 people. Sam, Iris, Nina, Lena, and a man I didn't recognize. Tall, narrow-eyed, hands tucked into his hoodie like he didn't want to be there. But he was standing too close to Lena. Just a little too close. Everyone else had space between them. Not those two. I stared at that photo for 10 minutes. Memorized his face, his jawline, the curve of his mouth. Then I stole it. I asked Sam about him 2 days later. I didn't mention the shirt, or the message thread, or the way Lena's hands shake slightly when she sees a number she doesn't want to answer. I just said, "Hey, who was that guy at the cabin? The tall one. In the hoodie." Sam hesitated. For just a second, his mouth twitched. Regret or discomfort, I couldn't tell. "Oh, Jonas. Friend of Nina's. He came up for the weekend, but I don't think he stuck around." But Lena kept the shirt. I did what any man would do. I found him. Jonas Whitmore. Lives 2 cities over. Teaches photography at a community college and posts black and white shots of abandoned buildings on Instagram like it's a religion. I stared at his profile for hours. His captions were vague. Lines from poems. Angles of broken windows. But then there was one photo. A shirt. Hanging on a doorknob. Wrinkled. Familiar. The caption read, "Some ghosts were cotton." I stared at it until my vision blurred. I didn't tell Lena I found him. Not yet. Instead, I asked her about the cabin again. Casually. Over dinner. "Do you still talk to Nina much?" I asked. She paused, mid-bite. "Not really," she said. "Why?" "I was just thinking about that trip. You know, back when you guys went up north. That weekend I didn't come. Her fork hovered for a second, then dropped. She smiled, but it was the wrong smile. Tight. Measured. That was years ago, she said. Was Jonas there? She blinked. I saw the name hit her. Like she hadn't heard it in a long time. Like it was the last word she expected me to say. I don't remember, she said too quickly. I think he was just someone Nina brought along. And just like that, she looked down and changed the subject. But it was there now. The name. The truth. And a part of me wanted to let it explode right there. Flip the table. Scream until she told me every filthy detail. But the smarter part of me, the darker part, smiled back and said, "Oh, just wondering. Because I'm not done yet. This isn't just about her wearing his shirt. This is about why she never took it off. People think betrayal is loud. Shouting. Doors slammed. Secrets uncovered like bombshells. But the worst betrayals, the real ones, happen in silence. In glances. In passing comments you were never meant to hear. They happen in rooms full of friends. Over pasta. With wine. And sometimes they happen in your own house, while your wife is asleep in your bed, dreaming about another man's shirt. It happened the night after I said his name. Jonas. She was off the rest of the evening. Polite, but distracted. Said she had a headache and went to bed early. Left her wine half-finished on the coffee table. I watched the condensation trail down the side of the glass until it reached the base. Then I opened her laptop again. I told myself it was a violation. I told myself not to do it. That if I looked, I'd see something I couldn't unsee. But I already had, hadn't I? It wasn't about catching her anymore. It was about understanding the shape of what I'd been living with. The boundaries of the lie. This time, I didn't go to messages. I opened her email. And there it was, tucked in the archive. A thread labeled Photography Class Inquiry. From Lena to Jonas Whitmore. Dated 9 months ago. Lena, hey, this is going to sound weird, but do you still do the workshops? I've been thinking about getting into photography again. Not sure if you remember me, Lena, Nina's friend? From the cabin? Jonas, of course I remember you. I didn't think I'd hear from you again. Lena, well, here I am. That was the start. There were more. A dozen, maybe more than that. Meeting times. Mentions of coffee afterward. A line from Jonas saying, still my favorite model. One email ended with, I shouldn't say this, but that weekend, it wasn't just a fling for me. I've thought about you more than I should. Lena didn't respond to that one. At least not in the thread. But 4 days later, she booked a hotel room in his city. One night. A Thursday. I checked the calendar. She told me she was at a conference. I remember the night. I made dinner. Ate alone. Texted her something dumb like, miss you. She replied 3 hours later with a picture of a hotel lobby and said, long day. The lie was seamless. Ordinary. Forgettable. That's the thing about her. She never leaves fingerprints. Only shadows. I closed the laptop and sat in the dark for a long time. The room felt different. Smaller. Like it was closing in on me. There's a painting above our mantel. A landscape. Lena picked it out years ago. It's soft and still. Mountains in the distance. A single pine tree in the foreground. That night, for the first time, I noticed something else in the painting. A tiny figure, halfway up the slope. Barely more than a brushstroke. Facing away. And I thought, that's me. I've been in the frame all along. I just never realized I wasn't part of the story. 2 days later, the twist came. I ran into Iris. Pure coincidence. Grocery store, middle of the day, in the fruit aisle. She was reaching for oranges. I was reaching for lies. She smiled too widely when she saw me. How's Lena? She asked, almost too casual. Good, I said. We were just talking about the cabin, actually. I was trying to remember who was there that weekend. Her eyes flickered. Oh, Jonas came, right? She hesitated. Just a breath. But I saw it. Then, yeah, yeah, I think so. He was someone Nina brought. That's what Lena said. Just funny, isn't it? That none of the photos from that weekend ever made it online. Another pause. A longer one. Then, Iris said the sentence that detonated everything. Well, after what happened, I'm not surprised. She froze, realizing. I tilted my head. After what happened? She looked like she wanted to take it back. Her mouth opened, then closed. I shouldn't. It's not my place. Iris. She swallowed. Look, I don't know what Lena told you, but that weekend was a mess. Sam was furious. Nina left early. There was a situation. What kind of situation? I'm not getting in the middle of it, she said quickly, already turning away. Ask your wife. That night, I did. We were in bed. She was scrolling, screen lighting up her face in blue. I was staring at the ceiling. I saw Iris today, I said. No response. She said something happened at the cabin. Her thumb stopped moving. Did it? I asked. Did something happen? Silence. Then, why are you asking me this? Because I need to know if I've been living with a stranger for the past 4 years. She sat up, crossed her arms over her chest. Is this about that joke again? Jesus, are we really still doing this? It wasn't a joke, I said. And you know it. Her jaw tightened. You're reading into things. You always do this. You take one moment and turn it into some grand betrayal. I found the emails, Lena. Her breath caught. I saw it. A half-second flinch. I know about Jonas. She didn't say anything. Not right away. Just looked at me. Ice cold. Not panicked. Not defensive. Resigned. I didn't love him, she said finally. That's supposed to make it better? She looked away. It was a mistake. When? When was it a mistake? Before the emails? After the hotel? Or when you laughed at a joke that wasn't a joke? Still no answer. And then, in a voice so low I almost missed it, I wanted to feel something. That was the first honest thing she said to me in months. Not sorry. Not denial. Just that. And it broke something in me that I didn't know could still break. Because here's the truth. It's not the love she gave him that hurts me. It's the feeling she withheld from me. The one she saved for someone else. Someone who only needed one weekend to take what I'd spent years trying to earn. She said she wanted to feel something. And she did. That night, as I sat in the garage long after she fell asleep, I felt something too. But it wasn't rage. It wasn't heartbreak, either. It was clarity. It was the kind of cold, surgical detachment you only reach after months of gaslighting and silences and secrets held in locked drawers. It was the peace that comes after the flood, when the wreckage is finally still, and you can walk through it with open eyes. Because now I understood her. Not as a wife. Not as the woman I married. But as someone else entirely. Someone who knew exactly what she was doing when she wrote photography class inquiry. Someone who knew what a one-night hotel booking would mean to a husband she swore she'd never lie to. Someone who wore his shirt and then came home and folded mine. And now I was done being the one asking questions. It was time for her to answer a few. I waited 2 days. On the surface, nothing changed. She moved through the house like always, coffee, emails, busy day muttered over her shoulder. I watched her spin the performance, one routine at a time. She didn't ask if I'd forgiven her. She didn't even ask what I planned to do. That's how confident she was that I'd swallow it. How many other things had I already swallowed? I let her think I was calming down. I let her think things would heal. And then, on Thursday morning, I told her I had an early meeting in the city. I kissed her cheek. She smiled like she believed me. At 8:04 a.m., I parked in front of Jonas's campus. He walked out 20 minutes later, coffee in one hand, camera bag slung over his shoulder. He didn't see me until I called his name. He turned, smiled, like we were acquaintances who'd crossed paths once at a party. I didn't smile back. You're Jonas Whitmore. He nodded. Yeah. Can I help you? I'm Lena's husband. His face changed. Not panic. Just this subtle reset. Like he was mentally wiping his last 10 expressions clean. I didn't know she was married when we met, he said. Not defensive. Just smooth. Practiced. You didn't ask. She didn't offer. You didn't stop. He shrugged. Look, whatever happened between us is over. It didn't mean anything. You probably know that by now. I looked at him. Really looked at him. Not tall. Not impressive. Just a man with a good jawline and a camera that made people feel seen. She kept your shirt, I said. He blinked. His confidence cracked, just slightly. I don't want any trouble, man. I reached into my coat pocket and handed him an envelope. Inside, for photos. The flash drive copies. Lena in the shirt. The Polaroid from the cabin. The hotel confirmation. And the cropped screenshot of their final email thread. This is everything she's ever lied about, I said. And a copy of everything I have. You can burn it. Frame it. Show it to Nina if you want. He looked at the photos. His mouth opened. Then shut again. Why are you giving me this? Because I want you to know exactly what she's worth. And what she's willing to risk. He shook his head. Look, I'm not trying to get in the middle of it. You already did, I said. Then I walked away. When I got home, she was in the kitchen, barefoot, humming something under her breath. I stood in the doorway and watched her for a long time. Then I asked, when were you going to tell me about the pregnancy? She froze, like someone had thrown ice water over her back. Very slowly, she turned. What? You heard me. There was no pregnancy. I knew that. I had no reason to suspect it. But I also knew Lena, and I knew what fear looked like on her face. And what I saw in her eyes wasn't shock. It was calculation. You went through my things, she said after a beat. You lied to me, I said. Her shoulders dropped. Not defeated, just exhausted. Like someone realizing the game was finally over. It was just one weekend, she said quietly. One time. I wasn't trying to ruin anything. You wore his shirt. I know. You kept his shirt. She looked at me, and for once, there was no mask. Only truth. I didn't keep it because of him, she said. I kept it because I liked who I was when I wore it. And there it was. The final knife. Because she wasn't sorry. She wasn't confused or coerced or lost in some fog of desire. She chose it. Chose to become someone else with him. Someone freer. Someone who didn't have to perform a marriage. Someone who didn't have to love me. I never asked you to stay, she added. I nodded. Then I walked to the hallway closet. Pulled out a duffel bag already packed. Laid the house key on the table. I'm not staying now, I said. Where will you go? I don't know. But it'll be somewhere honest. She didn't follow me. Didn't cry. Didn't beg. Just stood in the kitchen, barefoot, watching me walk out the door. In the end, she got everything she wanted. The house. The silence. The space. She can wear any shirt she wants now. But I took the photograph with me. The one from the cabin. The one with her smiling like she belonged to someone else. Not as a keepsake, but as proof that sometimes a joke isn't a joke. Sometimes it's a confession no one meant to hear. I didn't take much with me when I left. A duffel bag, a few shirts, my shaving kit. The cabin photo folded once in my wallet, pressed flat like a relic. The rest stayed behind. Furniture we picked out. The blanket we argued about in IKEA. The espresso machine I bought for her birthday used once, then forgotten. It's all hers now. She can keep the home we built like a monument to what she buried. I found a short-term place a few suburbs away. Nothing dramatic. Ground floor, one bedroom, blinds that stick when I pull them down. The heater rattles when it kicks in, and the water pressure's terrible, but it's quiet. That kind of deep quiet you only notice when you've spent too long performing happiness. I sleep through the night now. Most nights. Sometimes I dream of her. Not in anger. Not even in grief. Just Lena, in some old familiar kitchen, stirring sugar into her tea the way she always did, absent-minded, like her mind was already somewhere else. She emailed me last week. Subject line, "Can we talk?" I stared at it for a full 5 minutes before clicking. Inside, a single sentence. "I've been thinking about what you said. I miss you." That's the game, isn't it? Not the infidelity. Not even the lies. It's the way they rewrite the ending. As if the betrayal was just a ripple. As if the grief was temporary. As if I was just another character in her coming-of-age story. She misses me. Not loved me. Not wronged me. Misses. Like I was an old apartment. A favorite cafe. Something warm and familiar she wandered away from but now regrets leaving behind. I didn't respond. I deleted the email, then emptied the trash. Sometimes silence is the only honest reply. I ran into Nina yesterday. She didn't see me at first, was coming out of a bookstore, sunglasses on, talking to someone on the phone. But I recognized her laugh. That sharp, knowing rasp. I waited until she hung up. She blinked when she saw me. "Hey," she said, hesitating. "You look different." I just nodded. "How's Lena?" She hesitated again, adjusted her sunglasses. "She's quiet," Nina said carefully. "Hasn't really been herself lately." Which version of herself is that? Nina didn't laugh, just glanced down at the ground, then back at me. "She told me you left, that you didn't say anything." I said everything I needed to. A pause. Then, "She still wears it, you know, the shirt." I looked at her. She wore it last week. Came over for wine. Just sat there in it. Didn't say a word about him. I didn't ask who him was. Didn't need to. "You think she regrets it?" I asked. Nina shrugged. "I think she regrets getting caught." Then she gave a tight smile, said goodbye, and walked away. There's a photo I took recently. It's not much. Just the view outside my apartment window. A row of rooftops. Laundry lines. A flicker of someone's curtain caught mid-billow. But it's mine. I printed it, pinned it to the empty wall above my desk. It's the only photo I've hung since I left. Because here's the truth. Lena didn't just cheat. She edited me out of our life. One story at a time. One omission at a time. One shirt, worn one night, that was never supposed to be remembered. And that's the part no one tells you about betrayal. It's not the affair. It's not even the secrecy. It's the quiet revision of memory. The way they leave you behind before they even go. I don't hate her. I wish I did. It would be cleaner, sharper, easier to package. But what I feel is something else. Like standing in the ruins of a house that never felt quite mine. Running my hands along the walls and realizing they were hollow all along. She'll be fine. She'll meet someone new. Someone she can be that other version of herself with. The one who doesn't ask about old weekends. The one who never says, "What shirt?" But I'll be fine too. Because I know now, I don't need answers. I just need a life that isn't a question. And that starts here. With silence. With truth. With walls that echo only what I put inside them. Thanks for watching. If this story pulled you in, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss the next confession. Until next time, take care and watch who you trust.